I'm working on non-functional requirements for machine learning, and I will present understanding current use and challenges in industry and research. So I'm Khan Mohammad Habibullah. My nickname is Habib, and I'm working with Jennifer Horkoff and Gregory K. Machine learning is an application of artificial intelligence that use big data to produce complex prediction and decision-making system. We use machine learning in image recognition, language processing, autonomous system, healthcare, finance, travel, media, and so on. Despite the advances allowed by machine learning, it is essential to be aware of certain qualities of machine learning solutions. So now what is non-functional requirements? Glynn defines non-functional requirements as an attribute of or a constraint of a system, where attributes are quality performance or quality requirements. And in our research, we focus on non-functional requirements as quality requirements of the system. And when the rise of software industry or software quality, there are many quantitative evaluation of software quality. For example, Boehm presented and done this quantitative evaluation of software, where they considered portability, reliability, efficiency, human engineering, testability as software quality, but those are for the traditional systems, which doesn't include machine learning on those systems. The purpose and motivation of our research. When dealing with machine learning enabled software, it is not clear if our accumulated knowledge concerning non-functional requirements is still applicable. Some non-functional requirements such as fairness become more prominent, others such as privacy remain relevant, and perhaps others such as usability become less relevant in machine learning context. Further, and as yet unexplored non-functional requirements such as retrainability may also become relevant, which is not relevant for traditional softwares. So in order to begin to answer our knowledge of non-functional requirements should be reconsidered, we need to understand the state of practice concerning non-functional requirements and machine learning in industry, as well as in current research study. So here I will present actually two study, one exploring non-functional requirements for machine learning in industry, and another part of the results, which is exploring non-functional requirements for machine learning in research study. So now I will present exploring non-functional requirements for machine learning industry. Here in this study, our objective was to explore and define non-functional requirements for machine learning, including possible interpretations and refinements of prominent non-functional requirements in a variety of exemplar contexts. Our main research question was, what is the perception and current treatment of non-functional requirements in machine learning in industry? And we divided our main research questions into 6 sub-questions, and here I will present the results of 3 sub-questions. First one is, which machine learning related non-functional requirements are more or less important in industry? Second one is, what non-functional requirement and machine learning related challenges are perceived? Third one is, what measurement related challenges for non-functional requirements in a machine learning context exist? We choose interview as method to collect in-depth information through open-ended questions. We selected people who are working with machine learning and non-functional requirements in the industry, and we conducted interview with 10 people who are closely working with non-functional requirements as well as machine learning in the industry. We collected interviews demographic data, non-functional requirements related and non-functional requirements measurement related data from the interview. And at last, to analyze those data, we performed thematic analysis. Now the results. To perform analysis of the data, we developed some course based on the data collected from the interview. So at first, we divided non-functional requirements related information into five broader code or themes defined over measurement over challenges, importance, and captured. For example, the defined over, we ask the questions on which part of the system non-functional requirements are defined. Then, according to the answers of the interviewees, we again subdivided this code defined over the whole system or defined over whole, you see here, defined over machine learning and defined over data. And according to this, we created all the course to analyze the collected interview data. So to answer the first research question, which machine learning related non-functional requirements are more or less important in industry, we found there are many non-functional requirements which are important in machine learning context than which are less important. So in product operation phase, interviews said that accuracy, reliability, usability, explainability, efficiency, flexibility, etc. are the important non-functional requirements for machine learning enabled systems, and some said usability, flexibility, and efficiency are less important. Here, C is the number of interview out of 10 said this non-functional, specific non-functional requirement is important, and how many times, F is the how many times they said this is important. And the yellow background means these some of interviews said these are important and some interviews said these are less important. So to make the differentiation, we make it the background color yellow. In product revision phase, interviews said testability, maintainability, retainability, and scalability. These are the important non-functional requirements for machine learning enabled systems. And some said testability and product revision are the less important non-functional requirements. Then in product transition phase, portability, reusability, reproducibility, repeatability, interoperability, domain adaptation, complexity, and adaptability are the important non-functional requirements. And portability, reusability, and transition, these are less important for machine learning system, as interviewees said. Here is the overall picture. Here we see there are many important non-functional requirements comparing to less important, and as interviewees said, some which are mentioned important, those are also said by the some other interviews are less important. So there are some conflicts there. Now, what non-functional requirements and machine learning related challenges we perceived? So we again categorize these challenges into different subcategories like challenging NFRs, uncertainty, domain dependence, awareness, regulations. So while talking about challenging NFRs, there are some safety related issues like non-functional requirements are not fully safe to apply for all kind of machine learning systems, and machine learning systems are unpredictable. So that is not also safe, like we cannot guarantee the results. Then there are lack of transparency, consistency, accuracy, privacy. So these are challenging non-functional requirements. Then there is uncertainty. Machine learning enabled systems are dependent on different other systems also. We have lack of awareness, both in engineers and researchers side, as well as in client side. And there are a lot of regulations from different parts, like different organizations, different body of the country, society, and so on. Then what measurement related challenges for non-functional requirements in a machine learning context exist? So here we found different challenges like baseline, there are missing measurement baseline. We don't have baseline for many non-functional requirements. For example, we don't have baseline for fairness, safety, and so on. Machine learning systems consist of complex ecosystem. So while we talk about machine learning enabled systems and non-functional requirements, different systems come into play. We have lack precise practices. We have lack of knowledge on non-functional requirements for machine learning systems. We need to ensure data quality sometimes. So we have lack of plausible input for machine learning enabled systems. Rigorous testing is expensive as well as time consuming, which is not possible to guarantee most of the time. We have problematic results and domain dependence as well for machine learning enabled systems. So our key findings from our study: most non-functional requirements as defined for traditional system are still relevant in a machine learning context. Only few become less important. Some non-functional requirements can be measured using machine learning specific or more standard measures. Many are difficult to measure. Interviewees were able to name some methods and tools to capture non-functional requirements and non-functional requirement measurements, but answers varied. Interviewees were able to list many challenges measuring non-functional requirements in machine learning enabled systems, including lack knowledge, complexity, costly testing, and finding data. And much further research is needed to overcome non-functional requirements related challenges for machine learning enabled systems. And after this study, we consider that we need to explore, we explored in the industry, and we need to explore the research study also. Therefore, we in the next step, we plan to explore non-functional requirements for machine learning in the research literature. So we performed an exploratory study of the treatment of current non-functional requirements for machine learning systems in research literature. And our goal is to gain an approximate idea of the extent to which select non-functional requirements have been studied by researchers, and to perform an initial clarification of the scope of these non-functional requirements in machine learning systems. So here we have three research questions. First one is, can the machine learning system non-functional requirements be grouped into a small number of clusters based on the shared characteristics? And why we want to do that? Because we found that there are many research for even a specific non-functional requirements for example, accuracy, fairness, like this. And if we cluster the group of non-functional requirements, the further researchers can focus on a specific cluster. They can do systematic literature review or systematic mapping study, and it will be easier for them to focus on a specific cluster. So here three researchers studied the definition of each non-functional requirements presenting here. We identified the similarity and similar characteristics, and based on the similarity, we created 6 clusters here: cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, 4, and 6. And when we didn't find any similarity with any of the cluster or any other non-functional requirements, we put those non-functional requirements in cluster 7. So in this way, we created this cluster. Then we try to find out which non-functional requirements are studied more and which are explored less by the researchers. So here our research question is, which non-functional requirement have received the most or least attention in existing research literature? And we developed a search string, and we searched in Scopus as a meta database because Scopus includes different publishers' research paper in its database. So as search sheet, we found performance, accuracy, efficiency, security, complexity. These are the most found papers from Scopus, and traceability, repeatability, testability, justifiability, retainability. These are the least found papers. And after that, we try to find which papers are really related to the idea or thing we are trying to find out. And then to do that, we individually read the abstract of each paper for every specific non-functional requirements. Then we combined our results, which papers we can include, which papers we can exclude. Then after and we arranged different meetings, several meetings, and where there are disagreement, we discussed why we think that this should be included or excluded, and based on our agreement, we included or excluded the disagreed papers. And we found that here we haven't completed all these non-functional requirements because these are more explored, and we mainly try to focus on those non-functional requirements which are less explored by the researchers. And we found that these maintainability, traceability, repeatability, testability, these are the least explored non-functional requirements which are considered important for machine learning enabled systems. Then NFR Scope, on over which elements of a machine learning system can individual NFRs can be defined. We know that machine learning system or machine learning enabled system is a bigger system, and machine learning is a very small part of the overall system. So we can define these non-functional requirements over training data, over machine learning algorithm, over machine learning model, over results, or over the whole system. So here we try to find out which non-functional requirements can be defined over which part of the system. So based on the applicability of those non-functional requirements on different parts of the systems, and based on our experience and the definition of each non-functional requirements, we found non-functional requirements scope on different parts of the system. For example, completeness, it can be defined over training data. Over it cannot be defined. It's not very related to algorithm, so we don't define completeness on machine learning and algorithm, but we can define over model, not results, but the whole system. So like this, we see that we can define most of the non-functional requirements we explored here on every parts of the system actually, and some we cannot define over some other parts. So now we have designed a survey to validate and refine our findings, like findings of interview study with more participants. And these are the because that we conducted interview with 10 people. So we want to validate those results with more participants who are working with machine learning as well as non-functional requirements. So here is the survey link and here is the QR code. So if any one of you are interested on this topic, then you can fill in the survey and you can see what we are doing currently. Our future work. So we're as I said, we have designed a survey to validate and refine our findings with more participants, and we are also working on a systematic literature review for non-functional requirements in machine learning-based systems to focus more deeply on the state of the art. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, we can discuss more. Thank you very much.